welcome back to another episode of Teach MA Dude, where we will give you some real perspective and real insight from a real Massachusetts teacher, so you know what you're hearing is right from the front lines from someone who works with kids every day. Today we're going to be reacting to a story about recent canceling of honors classes, supposedly in the name of racial equity, and we're going to really be diving into what is leveling, what is tracking, how are these issues kind of playing out in Massachusetts, and what are some things that we want to think about and consider, and are these things even good for students? What's my thoughts about it, and where can we go from there? All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. All right, so kind of gonna start by unpacking a couple of important words. So on one hand, we have the word tracking, and on the other hand, we have the word leveling. Now, these two words can be very easily confused, flipped around, and I'm gonna admit in my early career as a teacher, probably for the first kind of few years, I got them confused as well. So let's start with leveling. What is leveling? Leveling is the idea that we put students into different levels of classes based on maybe their perceived ability, based on maybe how much they apply themselves, and maybe you have a higher level, with typically called honors, that's going to provide a little bit more rigor, it's going to provide a little bit more challenge, it's going to go a little bit deeper into the concepts, and it's going to provide that kind of environment that those typically more motivated students, the students who want to take on that challenge, they have the drive, it's kind of for mostly going to really cater to them. And then typically you have a lower level class. We might call that, I've heard it called college prep. When I was a kid, the lower level class, because I was in all of those ones, those would be called maybe curriculum one. In the current school I teach in, it would be called like A level. Some schools have one level lower than honors. Some students level even more. Some schools that is level even more, and they might have a couple level lower than honors. So my current school, we might have an honors level, then the next lower level is an A level, and the next lower level is a B level. So we have multiple different levels of classes. And again, the idea is that the highest level is typically your highest performing students, typically your strongest level of motivation. They can take on that additional rigor, they can take on that additional challenge. Then you have your middle level, maybe a little bit less rigor, maybe it is going to cover generally the same ideas, maybe go a little bit less deep, but it is going to hit on those big ideas. And then you'll have your B level, which is, if you have three levels, which is going to be a little bit more focused on fundamentals. It's going to go a little bit slower. It's going to offer a little bit more support for the students who need it. So that's leveling. Now, leveling is often confused with tracking, and tracking is the idea, a little bit more controversial, that students might be identified early on as needing to be a certain level, and then the idea is that they're locked into, kind of like if you think about a train on its tracks, they're locked into a particular level, they're identified for that level, and then it's very difficult for them to get out. So you might be, how it might be used is, in my school, you're tracked into B level. So you're locked into the B level. You're going to kind of spend the rest of your academic career in that B level. And there's really no way that you're ever going to, if you want to, be able to rise up out of the B level into, let's say, an A level or an honors class. So that's more of what tracking is. You're tracked, you're placed in a certain level, you're locked into that level. Now, when I was a younger teacher, my statement would be, I think tracking is fine. I think the big issue is that we don't track enough. We need to be tracking more to be ensuring that, we provide the right atmosphere for all students. And when I was saying that, I think where I was getting confused is what I think I meant was leveling versus tracking. So in my opinion, leveling is a perfectly fine strategy. And I believe that many of the districts in Massachusetts that have gone anti-leveling are not districts that you exactly want to model yourself after. So, for example, in Massachusetts, earlier on in my career, I went to this workshop. There were so many teachers from the Boston public schools. They're saying, oh, we're getting away with our level. We're not going to level our classes anymore. We're going to put all the kids, no matter what their level is, no matter what their strength level, their weakness level, we're going to put them all in the same class. And we're going to put them together so the strong students can help the less strong students, etc. All right, well, we all know how Boston Public Schools is doing. I think I made a video about this already. They're on the verge of getting taken over. So, to be honest, I wouldn't be following what the Boston Public Schools are doing. I think, in general, again, so I'm coming out, I'm going to say I'm pro-leveling. In my opinion, the issue with taking away leveling is that you're creating it's okay to have heterogeneous groups. It's okay to have a diverse backgrounds of students in your classroom. But the problem is too much heterogeneity, too much heterogeneous is not going to ultimately be beneficial with regard to academic level. There are going to be groups of students who want the additional rigor, who want the additional challenge, who have the ability to go deeper, who want to take that on. There needs to be an environment for them, right? People talk about equity and how we're not really opening up opportunities for everyone. Well, what about the students who want the opportunity to dig deeper, who maybe want to explore that additional content, who want to maybe go on to college and have that more rigorous college experience? They're going to need that dig deep, because the reality is somewhere else you're getting that experience. So the students who don't have that high level are getting put behind. At the same time, you have many students who do not want to go to college, do not derive pleasure from academics, and generally speaking are not as strong. They need an environment that's going to have more support, that's going to have things go at a slower pace, that's going to give them the nourishment they need, but also allow those higher level students who want to dig deep, who want that challenge, to not have to feel like they're constantly in a state of waiting for those lower level students. Now, that being said, I think within classes, you're always going to have some level of heterogeneity. You're going to have students who are super duper duper high performers. You're going to have students who are on the lower end. That's true of any class, whether it's an honors class. I have that happen every year. I taught math, gen ed. You have students who get hundreds on everything. You have students who get C's on everything. You have that heterogeneity. But the issue is, at the same time, what happens if you now take everyone and mix them together? You have students who are not genuinely interested. You have students who want that additional challenge, and too much of a disparity makes it difficult for you to nourish the needs of everyone, right? And again, as I said, even in honors, you're going to have kids who want a little bit of extra work to do. Fine. You're going to have kids who are really struggling. Fine. You can take the kids who are struggling with the honors. You can put them with the highest performing honors kids. They're going to work together because they genuinely want to be there. They genuinely want to do the work, right? And then for the kids who need the super duper challenge, you can give them some extra problems. You can give them that challenge. But I think by taking the honors classes away, you're not hitting the equity that you think that you're hitting. Instead, what you're doing is you're taking the kids who want that challenge and you're depriving them of the ability to challenge, to push themselves more, at the risk of kids who, frankly, might not want the extra challenge, might not be interested in the challenge, might not want to pursue college, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to go to college. There's nothing wrong with not wanting the academic challenge. But there is something wrong with holding back or not granting to the kids who do want the challenge that opportunity. Now, there's also arguments that, unfortunately, there are racial disparities with respect to who is in honors. It tends to be that the honors kids are disproportionately tending to be white and Asian, whereas the lower level kids are tending to be more black and Hispanic or Latino, Latina, etc. You know, I think that was the motivation behind that news clip that I showed at the beginning in Culver City, where they're eliminating the honors classes. To me, I understand it, and I definitely have witnessed the same thing. To me, that is not a sufficient factor to be getting rid of honors classes, because instead, what I think you can do is I think that you can provide services, support to strengthen the abilities of the students who are not doing as well. And again, that's assuming that they even want that challenge to begin with. Even if you have disparities racially, you have to ask yourself, okay, but do those students who are suffering from these disparities, do they even want the honors class? Have we asked them? Is that something they want? Okay, yes, great. How can we get them there? How can we provide the support? You know, we got programs like the Calculus Project, which is a big thing in Massachusetts, provides a lot of support for students of color, low income, students who tend to struggle disproportionately, has done a great job of pushing kids into honors level classes who might not be as well represented there. That's great, right? But at the same time, if we're going to talk about equity, equity is giving opportunity and access to everyone, right? Giving those opportunities. And you need to give access to the kids who are on the higher end and who are on the lower end. So I think that is why leveling, in my opinion, needs to be something that remains. And I think rather than tracking more, there is a value in leveling more, because you need to ensure that students of all levels have support in the classroom, but also you need to make sure that, again, we do want to, there is an advantage that is to lowering the level of differentiation. If the levels of student ability are too high, I'm not saying that this is some kind of cop out for the teacher, but it prevents really being able to create lessons that hit the needs of all the students. If there's a lower variety in the amount of need, then I can deliver more targeted lessons that are going to help all the kids in the classroom. If the level of need is too great, then again, from an equity perspective, I'm not able to hit every single kid. The kids who are, you know, more high flyers might need that additional challenge, and that's not really what we're worried about so much as the kids who are on the lowest end, right? Because you're hitting the main you know, component of the students, the main like percentage of the students. But the wider the differentiation of the skill levels, the harder it is to serve all the students and to really provide that equitable environment. By breaking it down into multiple levels, we can reduce the differentiation, allow again the challenge, the rigor, the pushing into deeper levels for the highest level kids, and then also providing the challenge for the kids who want it at a lower level but with additional support. Now, many people will make the argument, well, if you level the kids, are you giving them the college level skills? Yes, you are giving them the skills in the most part. You can still, in a non-honors class, teach the kids skills they need to be successful when they go to college. You know, maybe they go to a state school, they start off in a little bit of a lower class, maybe a lower math class than they would if they were in an honors class. There's nothing wrong with that. They're going to have to take many, many classes to pass college. That's fine. But the honors kids, they're also going to learn that same content as the lower level kids. They're just going to push a little bit deeper. That's going to allow them to access more advanced classes as they get into their older years that, let's face it, the lower level kids might not care or want to access those classes, but you have to keep them open for the kids who do want to access them. All right. So where this kind of differentiates between with leveling is the notion of tracking. So as I said earlier, tracking is the issue that you really want to focus on. So the issue with tracking and is that when you have leveling and kids cannot move in between the levels. So for example, in my school, if we're starting at an A level, will they be able to have the ability to move into an honors level class? Or will they always be kind of stuck at the A level or lower? That's an issue. That's the idea of tracking. So we want to make sure that there's not so much of a wide gap between the honors level and the lower level that the students in the lower level feel that there's no way that they can ever take on that challenge if they want to, right? So as long as we're leaving open, we're keeping the curriculums pretty well aligned, we're offering opportunities for kind of extra work to kind of push the kids up who want that push. I think that that's something that's completely fine. The other issue is, how early are we tracking students? Are we tracking them beginning in their earlier years? And again, the earlier and earlier and earlier you start to level, the more difficult of a situation that you create. Because if you're leveling kids too early on, then you open yourself up to this idea that, well, now we're already leveling these kids. How do we make it so that they have the ability to change the levels? So I think that's where we have to be careful there, is trying to make sure, again, we provide something for everyone without making people feel that they're locked into a particular kind of level that they can never get out of. So again, just to summarize what we talked about in this video, tracking and leveling. Leveling is the idea that we create different levels, honors, in my school maybe A level and B level, and that we allow kids to be put into different levels based on maybe their ability, based on whether they want that additional challenge, etc. Tracking is not leveling. Tracking is the idea that we're locking kids into particular levels and making it difficult for them to get out of those levels and getting stuck in a particular level that's ultimately not the best for them. All right, this is kind of really a surface level video. Unfortunately, like, we could talk for hours about this. I'm happy to make more videos in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Keep the algorithm fed. Feel free to comment, share your opinion. Maybe I missed something. Maybe there's a nuance that I got to hit deeper on. I love to hear what you guys have to say. But again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day, and good luck out there.